Hello, and welcome to this episode of Round Robin. I'm Communications and Marketing Director Robin McCormick, and today we're going to talk a little bit about the library system and a new program that we have coming online shortly. I have Library Director Robin Carpenter with me today. Welcome, Robin.
Thank you.
And I know that one of the most popular Christmas gifts this year was Nooks and Kindles and other e-reader devices. People are still reading, which is good news, but a lot of them are reading not your hardback books that are in the library. So, Robin, what do you have planned for those people?
We are getting ready to, and we're very excited about this, we're getting ready to introduce an ebook lending service for the citizens of Hampton very shortly. As you mentioned, the reading devices were a prevalent gift this holiday, and we saw that coming, and we've been monitoring that. The number of reading devices and tablet computers out in the world has been growing, and actually the Pew Research, Internet Research Group, which is a very well-respected survey group, now estimates that about 29% of the population in the United States has either a tablet, computer, or a dedicated reading device. So we felt like there was enough critical mass in the community now to begin an e-lending service that we are in the process of obtaining a vendor now to provide that service for us and start offering ebooks that you will be able to borrow from the library much as you do a print book.
Great. Now, before we talk about what's coming, let me just back up a little bit, because the Hampton Library did do an early foray into electronic books.
Yes, we did.
Probably before most people were ready, but you had your early adopters. So what was that like?
This was approximately 6 to 7 years ago. Ebooks have been around for quite a long time now, but they've just reached kind of a critical mass of popularity and ease of use. We had an early service that had downloadable ebooks and audiobooks. We were early into the game, and like most new technologies, it was expensive. And it was not very user-friendly, quite frankly. We did have a small number of our citizens that enjoyed that service, but after 2 years, we just did not feel like it was cost-effective. So we were very much an early adapter in this business, and then we got out of the business. So,
well, I know I looked into it at the time, and it didn't work with Macintoshes. You know, with Macs, you had to have a PC. And that was before tablets. I mean, people probably could read sitting at their computer. I mean, it's before even as many people had laptops.
Right, and that is exactly right. And most people really don't want to read for pleasure in that way. They might want to duck into maybe a book about growing roses or gardening or writing a resume and get a specific piece of information. But nobody wants to curl up with their desktop computer. And the interesting thing that has happened, for instance, MP3 music was around for a long time, but wasn't very popular until Apple found a way to make it easy to use in terms of the iPod as the device and the delivery system to get the music. And actually Amazon has done somewhat the same thing. Their development of their Kindle reading device, along with an easy delivery system to get the books onto the device, have really brought all that to the forefront. And certainly they're not the only player in the game. There are, as you mentioned, Nooks, there are Kindles, there are iPads. Sony has a whole range of ebook readers, so there are a number of devices out in the community.
Now, how are you going to navigate all of those technologies and come up with a program that is accessible on all those different devices?
Great question, and really gets to the heart of the question might be, why are we doing this now? One reason we're doing this now, the services, this is an industry, the publishing industry is in a lot of turmoil over this. They're trying to figure out, the publishers, the writers, the middlemen, libraries are trying to figure out how all this is going to work. Their libraries traditionally don't develop this on their own. They go out and buy and hire a vendor that provides a software platform that provides this circulating ebook library. We select the books for the library, but as far as making it all work,
the technology piece, the interface.
Exactly.
Okay.
we, up until recently, there have been these ebook lending services that libraries could utilize, but they were limited as to the number of devices they would work with, because each device has a different kind of platform they work from. So the Nook wouldn't work with the Kindle, and we were concerned about offering an ebook lending service to the community and say, citizens of Hampton, we have this wonderful new ebook lending service, but oh, by the way, all you Kindle owners, it won't work for you. So we didn't want to go there and be in that situation. Just recently, a lot of that in the last 6 months has changed in that industry, and now there are services that offer compatibility with all the major reading devices. So once our ebook lending service is up and running, a citizen will be able to go to our website, and if they see something that they would like to check out and read, it should work with their Nook, their Kindle, their iPad, their Sony reader, and a number of other devices that are out there in the world. And that's one thing that the vendor does for us is takes care of all those compatibility issues and make sure that they work properly.
All right, but now you're going to face a completely different challenge, which is which books do you pick? And it's really, I mean, obviously it's a very tough budget year. How can you afford to replicate the contents of all the Hampton libraries with electronic books? And I say that by knowing the answer is obviously you can't. So how will you make those choices?
That's the answer. We can't. One thing that the library professional staff does and has always done in our world is we are constantly keeping an eye to we try to anticipate what our citizens are going to want and buy those books. We also respond to citizen requests for books, but we are selecting books on a rolling basis to put in the collection. Under the general heading of collection development is what we call it. When we introduce the service, we certainly feel that our ebook lending service is going to focus on popular reading material, popular novels, popular nonfiction, mysteries, science fiction, young adult books. And so our opening day collection, so to speak, will have that type of material in it. And then going forward, we will gauge what the interest is of our citizens that want to use this service, and we will adjust our buying habits based on how the ebook lending service is used and what folks are looking for. If folks are heavily invested in reading mysteries, then certainly we'll concentrate on that. Certainly, one concern that I have and my staff has is meeting demand. We do think one thing that will happen, libraries traditionally have purchased numerous copies of popular books. You get a new bestseller by Stephen King or James Patterson, you have to have multiple copies to meet demand. Going forward in that popular reading area, we would adjust our buying, and we would see that the new James Patterson novel is out. Well, you'll have X number of people that will want the traditional print book and X number of people that will want it in an electronic format. And so we will balance our buying to kind of based on the demand that we have.
So some of it would be expenditures you would make on physical dead tree books. You will just shift to the electronic program.
Absolutely, yes.
But now, you mentioned young adult, and that's interesting because one of the things I have noticed is that a lot of the people adopting this new technology are elementary, middle school, high school kids. And I know I was a much heavier user of the library system when my kids were, reading 10 books a week. And that's going to be a real challenge too, because you're not just looking at popular with adults.
Sure, and I would say that's going to be our kind of opening day collection to get started, and then going forward, my librarian that's in charge of children's services, as we talk about this, she constantly reminds me, don't forget about these issues, Robin, that you just mentioned.
Well, they come out in series, and you have to read them in order, and a lot of these things, kids all read at the same time.
And we would envision going forward that we would have a mix of books, children, young adult, and adult, based on what the interest is in the community, the people that are using these reading devices and want to read in that fashion. Actually, my children's librarian just brought it to my attention yesterday that all the Harry Potter books have just become available in electronic format for libraries to be able to check out in this fashion. And I promised her that our opening day collection would have all the Harry Potter novels, so I put her mind at ease about that.
That's great. Now, is it too early to say to our citizens, if you have ideas about this, we're ready for your input?
I think the citizens are giving us their input already, Robin.
They were ready with the input before we're ready with the technology.
Right. They are, in addition to the fact that we're monitoring this business, and it's a big topic of conversation in the library world that my professional staff and I keep an eye on. But our citizens are coming in, and I have this new device. I got it for Christmas. My kids gave it to me, or my husband and wife gave it to me. Am I going to be able to use the public library with this device? And we're telling them yes, and we're certainly happy to hear any input they would like to have about the big interest they would have is one, that it would work, and we can assure them it will, and then what will be the nature of the material that they'll be able to check out. And again, we're going to kind of focus initially on the more popular reading material, which seems appropriate.
Yeah, that's great. And again, this is a preview. We will let people know when it's available, but we want to let them know now that it is coming.
That is
because you're
correct.
Getting that question a lot.
And is it coming? The answer is yes, it's coming. Actually, as I mentioned, we hire a vendor to provide the service, and there is certainly more than one vendor out there that offers these services. So the actual paperwork to obtain a vendor and get this started is with our good friends in the city's procurement, consolidated procurement department right now, and they'll be contacting vendors and asking them to provide proposals for what they can do for us. We will select what seems to work best for the citizens of Hampton. Once we have a vendor, it takes about 6 weeks to set all this up, and then once it's in place, you will go to our website. You will look at you can look at our collection of electronic books, or the titles of these items will be integrated into our general catalog, so you'll have several ways to find them.
To sort, okay.
You'll find a book you like, and you want to check it out. You will put in your library card number, which is your authorization, and then the book will be immediately delivered to your desktop or your laptop, or either directly to your device, and then you get it onto your device. Depending on the device, there are different kind of the procedure for getting it actually on the device is a little different, and that also depends some on the vendor. So that's some things we yet to have to work on.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming by today, Robin. I really do appreciate it. And two
My
Robins
pleasure.
on Round Robin. You know, that's not going to happen very often.
Well, I should have brought my daughter with me. Her name is Robin also, and we could have really created some confusion this morning.
Oh, that would have been fun.
It's been my pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for tuning into this episode of Round Robin. I hope you'll come back next time.